Hello, welcome to another edition of the Voices and Stories podcast hosted by me, Kafu Kijada. Today's guest is none other than Moira Onek, who happens to be a legal practitioner with a background in technology and digital governance. She also holds a master's in law, technology, and innovation. She is highly interested in how the legal frameworks are shaping accountability, public trust, and access within the digital ecosystem. Moira, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yes, could you maybe go and tell us a little bit more about yourself? Of course, I already introduced you as somebody who has a whole master's degree in law, technology, and innovation, something that I find really, really interesting and ahead of time as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about also your background and currently the work that you're doing?
So my name, as you've stated, Moira Onek. My background is law. So I studied law. And then I decided to specialize in technology policy. So the intersection of law and technology, how does the evolution of technology affect our rights, affect the concepts of rule of law, transparency, accountability. So my work right now focuses on issues of policies, issue of advocacy and programs, special programs just around the idea of technology and digital governance.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I mean, when you started your work, I know for a fact by then the law of the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act was not passed, was not signed. And now the law is in full force and it's in action. It's been signed about 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, by the president of the country, by the president of the Republic of South Sudan. He signed the law and now it's official for you as a legal practitioner, as a lawyer. What does that law mean to you?
I think maybe to also just clarify, the Cybercrimes Act did exist previously, but it existed as a provisional order. So in 2020, the parliament was not sitting, and the Constitution of South Sudan gives the president that power to actually pass a provisional order, which he did with the same title, Cybercrimes, Computer Misuse, Provisional Order by then. And then the requirement of the law is that once Parliament sits, the government is supposed to produce this document to Parliament and then it would be passed. But that time elapsed and Parliament recalled back the law. So it stopped being in existence. So around 2024, 2023, there were now efforts to reignite it, to bring it back, basically make amendments because the issues that were affecting us digitally in 2020 were not the same that were affecting us 2023, 2024. So now that is now how we now have the Cybercrimes and the Computer Misuse Act now as passed by the president.
Yes. I mean, you mentioned, of course, in 2023 and 2026 is now two different time zones. There's a lot that has happened in the world of innovation and technology. Talk about AI. AI has now it's a whole revolution. You know, it's not the same a few years ago and now. There are a lot of many AI tools. Is that also in the law? Is it stated somewhere there, the use of AI?
The thing with such laws, they're meant to be technology neutral. So it would not necessarily mention artificial intelligence the way we know it, but there are aspects that there are characteristics that artificial intelligence has that the law in itself would be able to cover. I'll give you an example. It talks about fake profiles. People can create fake profiles using artificial intelligence. You know, you have a digital likeness of someone and you use that profile to probably scam people. So to that extent, that can be covered. There's also a provision on digital depictions of people who is presented intimate images, obscene images or videos to that extent. So you see the law is still neutral, but it's still able to accommodate for the fact that technology is evolving very fast. But also the law is meant to be presented to Parliament almost on a 2-year basis, basically, to make sure that the provisions of the law are still relevant to how technology is evolving.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the Cybercrime and Computer Misuse Act, what's one of the things within the law that stood out to you? Something that you were like, okay, this is actually really interesting from a legal point of view.
I think for me, especially now, because I am a legal practitioner, but I'm also a woman. So our law criminalizes revenge porn. So there are a lot of women who are vilified and they are put to shame because personal images and videos are posted online with an intent to cause them distress. So you have that being covered. You also have there's a section on the moderation of undesirable content. And undesirable content, one of them is gender discrimination. So if anyone posts content that is geared towards, gender discrimination and the components of it, the law expects that would be taken down. If not, there would be repercussions. So I think from a woman perspective, I think the law is actually pro gender, and I'm really grateful for that.
I mean, that's really good to know, as women in different spaces, it's always good to look out for these nuances that deal with women issues. We want to ensure that the participation of women is very safe. That's why it's very important to have someone like you who is in the field of technology and innovation and law, something that is it's moving very fast.
Evolving too.
It's evolving very fast. Okay, so when it comes to the law, what should the ordinary person look for? Like, I'm just an ordinary citizen. So I know that the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act is now in full force. It's been signed.
Yeah.
It's officially a law. So what should I look forward to as somebody who's participating? I am out on the digital spaces. I'm on these different social media platforms.
Yeah.
What should I watch out for as just a normal citizen?
I think first understanding what exactly the law seeks to do, because it's regulating the digital space. The way we have laws that regulate traffic, or the penal code that criminalizes offenses. So what the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act does, it regulates our digital life, because as we move away from the analog way of doing things into a more digitalized ecosystem, that needs to be regulated, because it means that the very people who used to commit crimes offline now have an opportunity to do the same online. So the law is put in place to ensure that our relationships online, or our collaborations, partnerships, are all secure. So the law basically is related to computer systems, persons, relations on social media, but also on a larger scale, national security. So it's a very important law for everyone to have an opportunity to read through, look through, because you might do something and you think, oh no, this is for hackers, because if you hear cybercrimes, that's probably the first thing that will pop in your mind. This is for hackers, this is for fully technical people. But me and you as an everyday person, the law does affect us, because we are part and participants of the digital economy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that's also very common now among South Sudanese youth, particularly youth who are participating online.
Yeah.
Something that's very common is now very popular question: where's the video? Can you send me the video?
Yeah.
I have the video.
Yeah.
Such people, what happens to them if the law catches them?
Okay, so it's first also important to remember the first question we would ask: what video are you sharing? Mm-hmm. Right? So probably if it's a video that is on spreading misinformation or disinformation, created the video has been altered to create a story that is wrong, and sharing it could actually cause harm. If you knew that content in that video is wrong and you share it, then there's an intent for you to cause harm. and that means you fall under the offenses covered within this. Then there are videos that are, again, like we mentioned, intimate images, obscene images. They are also regulated within this particular law. So it means that you would actually get in trouble because the law is very broad. It talks about transfers, dissemination, downloading. When you look at the provision on pornography, child pornography, the consumptions of such things. So even as we are having fun and enjoying ourselves online, we also have to be crucial, not to the point where we're saying, okay, I need to self-censor because this might be wrong, but to just be careful not to do harm to other people or basically to the digital environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What I meant to say is that there's now a trend of let's say obscene images or sometimes even pornography, pornographic videos being shared online. And once it is shared on the digital space, there's a trend of people wanting to distribute this video into a wider range. So they want to send it to people. They want to show that they have it. Is this a crime within the law?
It could be. It could be because you're distributing it, you're sharing it, you're transferring it. So it does fall within that category. So you'd obviously have the first person that shared it. Who's that first person? Let's say it is a revenge porn type of a situation. So ex-boyfriend goes on and puts the content online, and then someone gets a hold of it, and now they're so excited to, let me show you, I have it. It falls within the aspect of distribution. So you could actually get into trouble for it.
How many years are we looking into? How many years can a person go to jail looking into that?
So revenge porn, the provision on revenge porn is 10 years. Pornography is also 10 years. So you can be charged a fine and or the sentencing. So all content on intimate and obscene images all fall within that time limit of 10 years. So 10 years is the maximum that the court can give you. So based on the circumstances, because obviously the court has to be presented with evidence, and then they will have to see, okay, what was this person intent? Did they actually mean to do it? What actions show that their actions were aggravated? There is someone who does it innocently, where you would say, okay, we can fine you. But there's someone whose actual intention was to cause harm, was to cause shame, was to cause distress. Then such a person, the law would probably think, okay, we need to probably give them a higher sentence, so that it is a deterrence for other people out there.
Let's look into the Sherikat incident, which was not long ago. A few days ago, we saw that they went to court, and they have the guys who committed the crime have been sentenced to prison. I think different sentencing to each one of them, and I think one was acquitted.
I'm yet to read. I just saw I did see the story on it being in court. I did see the details on the sentencing.
They have been sentenced now, and I think some of them have been sent to some years in prison. If I'm not mistaken, 16 years or 10 years. They've been sentenced basically. So when we look into that, when we talk about this incident, this is the first of its kind for us to see it happen, like a crime that took place in an area here in Juba, in Sherikat, and then it was recorded and posted online, and it went sort of viral in the South Sudanese social media communities. And now we see that the law has actually taken its course, and it has sentenced the criminals who have committed this act. Is this going to always happen? Like, as a lawyer, from your point of view, because this is an incident that has affected a woman, it has affected a young girl, actually. So what would you say about that? Do you think this is now a promise? Does it give people hope that the law is seriously going to convict those who commit such crimes? Is the law actually going to punish those people that commit such crimes, whether they record and put on social media, or whether it just happens and is reported? What do you have to say about that?
First, the case in itself was very unfortunate. And the fact that this lady was gang raped, and for people to feel comfortable enough to record it and share it online. Now, from a legal point of view, that's an aggressive way of committing a crime. Like, you committed and you want to show that you did it. So back to what we're talking about: undesirable content, obscene, intimate images, pornography. So this falls under all these categories. So if they were being charged using this law, so the 16 or the 10 years they're being charged now is with regards to the rape. This is out of addition from the cybercrime. So if the cybercrimes was existed at that time, there would actually be added more years, because the crimes are your charges are individual, and then based on the years of each crime, and then they're added up. So the thing is that now what the law is saying is that if you think that the digital space is not regulated, the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act is saying you're wrong. That now whatever it is you do online and is offensive or is illegal as per the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act, the law will actually have a recourse, to come get you and take you through the whole process of charging and conviction. Yeah.
Yes. So far in your work, could you tell us what really stands out in digital governance and also in the world of technology and innovation? What are some of the good things that you see on digital spaces or in technology and innovation with the South Sudan context? You could tell us the positive and some of the negatives that you have observed from your work.
I think we have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of our people are still not connected, so our space is still not as big as we would want it to be, but it's growing, it's getting there. People who are on Twitter or X, you have the community exchange of ideas, which is really good. You have that we are able to get news online, because I don't know about anyone else, but I receive all my information online, So those are the good aspects of it, that it has democratized information so everyone can access it. It has improved how we communicate with each other, because I'm sure most people don't do direct to direct phone calls anymore, connecting us with families that are abroad. So the social space is really good for us. And then you have a lot of our content is being put up: music, dances, our cultures, such and such. But now, of course, there's always, the flip side of it. There's always an extreme to anything. People have used the platform to insult themselves, to spread misinformation, to spread hate speech, to, use the platform to share intimate and obscene images of people. You have people, creating digital depictions. So now that's why this law is very important, to ensure that we have a balance, that even as we are engaging, we are sure that we are safe. That, I think, that's the most basic way I would put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also want to understand who this law is targeting exactly.
Yeah.
Is this law targeting, is it for people that are living within South Sudan? Is it for people that are committing crimes that is offending South Sudan? Is it for South Sudan infrastructure? Is this law, how does it work? If I'm outside of South Sudan, for example, and I commit a crime online, how will I be convicted? What actually takes place? What happens? Am I also under the same law? Or let's say if I'm, for example, somebody who's not a South Sudanese, but they commit an offense to South Sudan infrastructure, or I don't know, infrastructure is the right
critical
word?
Infrastructure,
critical
yes.
in infrastructure, or commits a crime offending a South Sudanese person, can the law also be
applied to them? Yes.
Can the law apply to them?
So all the categories you've listed, it does fall. So if a crime is committed by a South Sudanese, if a crime is committed towards a South Sudanese if a crime is committed towards the nation of South Sudan. So all those are covered, because ideally, if you have the idea of critical infrastructure, we would say, even as our country is digitalizing, think about banks, think about telecommunication. Imagine someone who is probably seated somewhere in country X that is not South Sudan, hacks a system and shuts it down. That's a cyber incident. And so the law has empowered, there's an authority and also a court that is being established to ensure international cooperation. And this is not something that South Sudan is creating. It's something that all governments around the world have, laws and regulations on how this international cooperation is done. It can be multilateral engagements, bilaterals, where we agree. It's the same thing with extradition. When someone commits a crime in South Sudan and then they run away, if you have a bilateral extradition agreement with a country, that person can be brought to South Sudan to be charged for the crimes that committed. So it's more or less the same thing, because the idea with technology is that I do not need to be in South Sudan to commit a crime towards South Sudan. That's the basic idea. Yeah.
Yes. So can a person go to prison for just making jokes online? For example, the information was shared with the intention of a joke.
Yeah.
Can that also land you some sentencing?
No, it should not.
Yeah.
But we also have to look at the language that is set out in the law, because a lot of people, when the law was signed, a lot of people were very apprehensive that this law would be used to curtail freedom of expression.
Yes.
So the law is not we have to remember that freedom of expression is a right guaranteed under the Constitution, but it is not absolute. It means that the Constitution allows the government to be able to regulate freedom of expression, but there are specific instances when this happens. Issues of hate speech, issues of misinformation, disinformation. So those are the areas that this covers, because there has to be the intention to cause harm. That's the most important aspect. So if it is an innocent sharing of joke, and it does not cause any harm, no one is going to come for you. But if you share something and you're saying tribe, there are a lot of these stereotypical utterances that we have towards specific tribes. We'll say tribe A is like this, tribe B is like this, and then people use that, to hate on each other. Now that speech is regulated. If aspects of hate speech towards tribal, towards gender, towards race, it can be, those aspects are regulated. So to that extent, that's what you can be sent to jail for, but not making harmless jokes. Yeah. So people can.
Yeah. And do you think, right before we go on a break, we're going to go for a short break, but I wanted to know about educational institutions, whether they're doing enough in educating South Sudanese young people, especially people who are in school, people who are in training, so different sectors. Are they being trained enough on issues to do with cybercrimes and computer misuse?
Well, I think also just going back to the fact that we just got the law, number one. Officially we can say we just got the law. I think there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of creating awareness, because even as we are saying that this law has been passed, I'm sure the margin of people who know what it is and that it has been passed is very small. So there's a lot that needs to be done, and it's an effort for everyone, not just probably on an educational platform, but also civil society. The government itself has a responsibility to make people aware that this law exists. If you do break it, you're going to get into trouble. But also on the flip side, to say this is how you protect yourself against incursions or interference or unauthorized access to your devices and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right. We're going to go for a short break and we shall be back. This is the Voices and Stories podcast.
Love makeup? Kafuki Cosmetics is here for you. Proudly South Sudanese owned makeup brand, Kafuki Cosmetics is created for beauty lovers who want quality and confidence in every look. From soft glam to full glam, we have all your beauty essentials eyeshadows, mascaras, lip liners, foundations, brushes, and so much more. Order now through our social media page. DM Kafuki Cosmetics or Kafuki Jada social media pages, or send a message on +211 923 618 595 to place your order and have your favorite beauty products delivered to you.
Welcome back from that short break. This is the Voices and Stories podcast. And as mentioned earlier, we're joined by Moira Onek. And we welcome back from the break, Moira. Of course, as we continue this conversation, I think something that's very important when it comes to the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act, we want to look into cyberbullying, harassment. What usually happens with this? Is it also mentioned in the law?
Yes, the law does criminalize cyber harassment, cyberbullying, there's cyber stalking. So generally, any
Could you explain
behavior.
cyber stalking?
Yeah, so we can actually just read directly into it, because think about stalking on a day-to-day basis, how someone would consistently, follow you around. This is now on a offline, If you drive somewhere, there's someone there. When you go to the supermarket, now online, it could basically mean someone is consistently on your profile, in a way that is because people liking your content is not bad, but someone consistently liking your comments, your content, and then leaving comments that
Any comments or hate comments?
No, comments that appear to because there has to be a threatening element to it for it to be criminalized. So intention is very important in the law, because if that threshold of intent is not set, it just means that anything could fall within that threshold of it being criminalized. So it's very important aspects of threatening, aspects of shaming, So those three: stalking, harassment, cyberbullying, they're related offenses, very close. So the intention is you're threatening someone, they feel embarrassed, they feel harassed. So those aspects are covered. So and that is very common in our platforms. I think I have been bullied, harassed before. I think I posted a picture. This was way back in university. I was running for the miss of my campus. My undergrad, and so we were doing of course they always do this contest where if you get the most likes, it counts towards the final vote or something. So took pictures, it was posted in that particular page. There was a particular guy who was so insistent, very ugly, such comments. That's bullying and harassment. And I think because of that, I just decided I don't think modeling is something that.
Oh, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, because now imagine people go through on a daily basis. Think about our politicians, women who want to participate in a political space, and anytime they do, there's a man down there saying, "You're a woman, go to the kitchen. That's where you belong." You don't even have A, B, C, and D, or people are digging up information about your past and saying, "Is this you? Are you the one who did this?" And there are men who threaten, they threaten violence against women in those contents. "If you were my wife, I would." So all that falls into that category of bullying, harassment, the very idea that you believe that a particular space, someone does not belong. So that's what the law is trying to protect against. And I think as a woman in who wants to be very vocal about issues that affect us, I think it's very good, because I can think of so many women that have decided not to share content, not to speak out, and have their content put on digital platforms, because there are people who are consistently ready, people that we refer to them as trolls, consistently on the go to just talk a lot of things that discourage you, and you end up self-censoring and saying, okay, if this is what this platform looks like, I would rather not say anything. So that's the general idea with cyberbullying and cyber harassment. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really unfortunate, and to be honest, I really believe you should have pursued modeling. This was just a hardship that came, but you should have really pursued modeling.
Well, either way, it worked out for me.
Yeah, it worked out for you. Yes. So, and now that you've touched on cyber harassment, I think you've explained that really, really well, and we have a good understanding of what that looks like and what can actually happen to a person that has been cyberbullied or cyber stalked. Maybe lastly, you could talk to us about your message. What message do you have in regards to today's conversation or topic on the Cyber Crimes and Computer Misuse Act? Do you have any message that you would want to say out there, and also in regards to the law? Because a lot of people might not have read the law yet, have not read this particular version that has been put out, because it's new still. It's just 2 weeks or 1 week old. Yeah. It's pretty much new. But as people read through this law, what advice would you give them, or people who have not read this law or might not have access to read this particular law that has been passed? What message can you give them?
I think the most important thing is that do not let other people interpret the law for you. It's very important that you have an idea of what it's covering. Based off the conversations that have been happening online, especially once it got passed, there was a lot of fear mongering that the law is being passed to, to silence or to curtail freedom of expression. I think we are reducing a very important digital ecosystem regulation to a very small aspect of it, because we are sending money online, we send emails, we have data in our computers. All those are covered in this law. Our digital experience is being protected by this law. So I think it's very important for us to also have an open mind, read through it, understand it. If there are certain sections that you differ with, that is okay, that is fine. But I think let us also understand that even as we are growing as a country digitally, we need to be protected. So if this law does not exist, because if there's one thing that everyone, at least civil society and government, has been pushing for, is we need to have a cybersecurity law. I think once cybersecurity, so the civil society and the government agree on something, I think it's a good sign. And also considering that civil society has really been part and parcel of this of the development of this particular bill. They've given their inputs, even in the very last hour, sent in their inputs, sent in dissent, said, okay, we don't agree with this particular aspect, kindly adjust it. And our parliamentarians were actually very receptive, to hearing from us. So I think one is that we also need to, anytime we hear that a law is going out and there is a chance that we feel that it might be used against us, we need to want to participate, be part of that process, see what is happening. Let us not wait until we've crossed the finishing line and then people are, complaining about it. So let's take our civic duty very important. It's not just about selection of leaders. It's also about discussions on regulations that affect our day-to-day activities. So it's important for everyone, for me, very important for us to read the law so that we know what not to do, because that's also important. Yeah, so don't just look out for what aspect might affect you. Question is, what aspect might you do that would affect someone else? Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Moira.
Thank you for having
you here. Our guest today is a legal practitioner, as we mentioned in the beginning. She has a very interesting work that she does. She has a background in, of course, digital governance, and she has a whole master's degree in law, technology, and innovation. I'm not going to stop saying that because I think it's a very interesting thing to study. Thank you so much. much for watching and being part of this podcast, today's edition of The Voices and Stories. It has been very informative speaking to our guest, Moira Onek, who we mentioned has a background in technology and digital governance. She also has she has a master's in law, technology, and innovation. So she explained to us what the Cybercrimes and Computer Misuse Act is all about. In case you have not had the time to go through the law and go into the details of what actually is considered to be a crime on the digital space, we hope that this episode has really helped you break down. And as encouraged by our guest, that you go through the law yourself so that people don't instill fear in you. And this law did not come to curtail or shrink your freedom of expression, but rather to just regulate the digital space. So it's important that you go through it, as mentioned by our legal practitioner who we had in today's segment of The Voices and Story. We don't take your time for granted. We appreciate you being here. We understand that internet is also very expensive in South Sudan, so it means a lot to us that you will take the time to watch this episode, and which we consider to be highly informative and impactful. Don't forget to share with your loved ones. Thank you so much. Join us in also the next episode.